Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Our Roots in Tea. We'll be discussing very existential life topics with different people all over the world with different backgrounds. Topics such as spirituality, meditation, psychology, healing, religion, purpose, true inner spirit self. And we normally drink tea while we discuss these topics. And today's tea of choice is black cherry berry herbal tea, caffeine free. And joining us today will be a very special guest, Victoria from Rise to Ritual. So she is a spiritual seeker and a dancer artist. Very impressive resume, actually. Uh, yeah, she's trained in many different skills, and we'll dig more into her backstory. Uh, so the first thing I actually do want to get right into talking about is she's helping people, discover or reconnect with their inner compass through something called human design and conscious movement. And so that's actually what I want to dive into right away, Victoria, is what exactly in detail is this human design or, and conscious movement.
Sure. So I combine two separate things. The human design is its own system, and the embodied movement that I do is a blending of my dance background. I'm trained in Pilates, various different yoga forms. I try to combine moving meditations so that the movement becomes more meditative. So that's kind of like my own little combination of movement. But human design is a system that I learned to use not too long ago, actually. I first found out about human design in 2019 through a podcast where Jenna Zoe was interviewed. Jenna Zoe's she's kind of this guru right now
Mm.
for a lot of us who are seeking human design tools. And she created a certification program that I did because I basically went down the rabbit hole and couldn't stop. And I just wanted to learn everything I
Mm.
possibly could about human design. And so I did her training. So, what is human design? Human design is a system that uses our exact time, date, and place of birth. So, similar to astrology. People call it the new astrology. And it gives us essentially our energetic DNA. So it shows us things like how to make decisions, how to interact with the people around us, the world around us, how to best take action, how to cultivate relationships, even how to digest your food more harmoniously. So it really is the system that allows you to find more harmony in your inner world, but also in your outer world, right? Because your inner world reflects your outer world. So it gives you essentially an energetic blueprint or a manual, if you will, for your life, which is mind blowing that something could be so accurate and so helpful in this way. And I basically had the light switch turn on when I got my first human design reading done.
Mm.
And it just gave me permission to be myself in so many ways that I was repressing. There's 5 different energy types in human design, and the generator type is the most common. So we all are kind of in this generator world where we feel like we have to go and hustle and do and kind of, keep up with everyone else.
Yeah.
And I found out that I was the energy type called a projector. And projectors are actually considered non-energy beings, where people who can only work around 2 to 3 hours a day of hard, very concentrated work. And my whole life being a dancer, I was really confused as to why I got tired so easily. And I thought it was nutrition, but I
Mm.
felt like I was doing all the things. I was taking supplements. I was just so embodied. I was so consciously aware of my body. And so I was like, I don't understand. Like, why wasn't I able to push to the extent that I wanted to push? And the key there was, had I not been pushing and had I been resting more, I would have had that greater connection with myself to understand, to have the wisdom to move forward in a more optimal way. So human design gives you these tools and these pieces of information about yourself that really allow you to, with every step forward, make a more consciously aware system. So it's a system for self-awareness, essentially. And it's a combination of four esoteric and ancient systems and
Mm.
two scientific systems. So we've got Western astrology,
Mm-hmm.
the I Ching, the Kabbalah, the Indian chakras, neutrinos, and genetics. So there's even some quantum physics in there, which
Oh,
is really,
wow.
really fascinating. Yeah. And it was created by Ra Uru Hu. That's not his original name, but that
Okay.
kind of became the name he was going by after he. It's kind of a bit of an airy fairy story, but
Mm.
human design was essentially channeled by this man. I believe he was from Canada originally and had gone to Ibiza. And he was walking home one night and heard a voice, and the voice was basically like, get ready to work. And
Mm.
for 8 days and 8 nights, he channeled all of this information that combined all of these different ancient and modern systems. And we now have the system of human design. And then he spent the rest of his life sharing these systems and teaching and allowing them to be more accessible. So now we have people like me who are human
Right.
design readers and can help people look at their charts and decipher them.
And when you say look at charts, we're not talking about like tarot cards or whatever like that. It's something different, right?
No, so this system generates a chart called a body graph,
Okay.
and it's essentially a very detailed energetic map of your aura or energy field. So
Mm.
we take your exact date of birth, time of birth, and geographic location of birth, and through that, this chart is generated. You can actually, my teacher Jenna Zoe, she has a platform on her website where you can generate your chart for free. So you just
Oh.
put in that information, you get your chart, and it looks crazy when you get the chart, right? You're like, what are all these lines and centers and like what is this? So that's where someone like me can come in and help you understand what you're looking at there. But by going through the many different elements of your chart, you're basically able to get a better understanding of your energetic architecture. So the many facets that make up your personality, your patterns, your gifts, your ways of interacting with the world around you, you're really able to break that down. So what I do is with clients, I go through kind of a foundational reading if they want the basics that are going to really allow them to catapult forward. You don't need that much to really make a difference in your life.
Mm.
For me, just learning about what a projector was and how they function in the world was huge. Like that alone totally changed my world.
Oh, wow.
But when I really started to dive deep and look at all of the little facets of who I was mind blown at how accurate it was and just how much it resonated. And I think that the important thing with human design is that once you have your chart, once you're, becoming familiar with that information, you want to kind of play with it and keep it light, right? So you don't want to get really stressed out about like trying to be perfectly in harmony with your design, but what you want is to play with these different facets, see how they work for you, and we call it the human design experiment. So you're constantly, just allowing yourself to play with these various aspects to see what works, see what doesn't work, see what resonates with you. So it's not something that you feel like you have to stress out about. It really is something for you to use as a tool to work for you.
Okay, and let me ask you this. Does so each person they have their specific human design. Does that design or blueprint will ever change over time, or it just kind of stays the same throughout?
Nope, it's yours for life.
Okay.
We all have our own unique chart. Maybe if someone's born at the exact same time as you in the same location, you guys will have very, very similar charts. But for the most part, everyone's quite unique, and it's that's yours. That's your aura. That's how That's it's basically your first point of contact with the world. So
Mm.
as you're walking through the world, that aura is kind of giving off this vibration of who you are, and it's the way that you're already energetically interacting with the people around you. And that stays the same. That is you. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, that's actually a lot to unpack, but let's
Yeah.
backtrack a little bit and somewhere in the beginning. So, you talked about obviously conscious movement and how how is that different from, let's say, just regular meditation where you just sit down and meditate?
Yeah, yeah. So what I do is I first have, so for my women's group, I have everyone first start with just checking in with themselves, just connecting with their breath, because the most important thing for us is to connect with that breath. When we're in a more concentrated point where we're able to kind of focus our mind inward, we're already starting to calm down that monkey mind, right?
Yes.
So by connecting within, that's step one. And then through having that point of centeredness, if you will, we move from there. So I love to bring in various different forms of yoga. Kundalini has been a big one lately because it really regulates the nervous system, the glandular system, the endocrine system. So a lot of these women will leave the 30-minute morning ritual that we do, and even if they had a lot on their mind, the way that we use our arms in strange ways in Kundalini, or the way that we're kind of doing things that we normally don't do with our bodies, and with the breath as well, you can't help but have your mind calm down by the end of the 30 minutes.
Mhm.
So I do a combination of various different things, and I really do work intuitively. So if I am kind of feeling the energy of the group, even through Zoom in our very, virtual
Yeah.
world nowadays, I'm able to kind of see like, oh, okay, the energy's a little low today. We're going to do some more stretching and
Mhm.
deep breathing, and I'm going to do a visualization exercise as opposed to a more energetic physical sort of exercise. So I work personally very intuitively when I teach, but I also bring in intuitive movement. So this can be something as simple as kind of a repetitive movement, like maybe we're swaying from side to side for up to 3 minutes, and you're just closing your eyes and you're breathing and you're feeling that movement, and you're able to get embodied. Because when you're embodied, when you're connecting the breath with the body in this way, notice that for the rest of the day you're a little bit more intuitive, you're a little bit more connected with what your body needs, whether it be taking a nap instead of pushing yourself to work more, or needing a certain snack and knowing, you know what, like I just need some fruit. I don't need the, sugar ridden energy bar. Like I just need some fruit. Or, oh, okay, like it's not a sugar craving. I'm actually just thirsty. Or, like there's these little moments where you start to just connect with yourself in a deeper way by becoming embodied first thing in the morning. So, that's kind of my approach, to just get everyone breathing and feeling into what their body is trying to tell them, feeling into what their body needs. And I'll open up little pockets of time throughout those 30 minutes where I'll say, okay, now we just did some cat cow. Now see what your back and your hips need from you right now. So move in any way from this position that feels intuitively good to what your body needs. So that's kind of all over the place because I do work
Right.
pretty intuitively, but I combine various forms of yoga, stretching, influence from my dance background with moving very fluidly and harmoniously, and I'll bring up this idea of making these movements a moving meditation often, because I really feel like that's what it is. Yeah.
No, that's great because it's funny. It almost sounds like um a lot of times like there's a lot of like counterintuitive into it, right? Because like what you said, oh, I thought I needed sugar, but you're actually just need to be hydrated. So it's almost like really just an exercise that trying to understand your body in a better way. Like you're having conversations with yourself and your body, like, oh, these are just cravings to make me feel better. It's not necessarily, what I really need.
Right, right, exactly.
Okay, that's interesting. And um,
It's time to decipher that too. It's not something that happens overnight. It's really about attuning yourself to listening and
right.
actually allowing that space, that pause, that breath between grabbing the chocolate bar or not, right? So
Mm,
you have to have, and I think that's why mindfulness practices and these embodied practices are so important because they give you that space, that breath, that moment of pause
mhm,
before you move on to the next thing. So instead of the multitasking and the devices and all the notifications and just all of the constant, monkey mind kind of stuff that's happening during the day, when you take that time in the morning to slow down and to just be with yourself and your breath, you're already prepping yourself for a more successful day because you're allowing that breath, you're allowing that space that you were practicing with in the morning to infiltrate into the rest of your day and allow you to make better decisions.
right, absolutely. It's just essentially basically asking yourself, do I really need to do this right now, or do I really need to eat this chocolate bar, right? As an example.
Yeah, just asking yourself, what do I need? What is
Right.
it you need? Yeah.
Okay. And because you did mention about, you know, you will have like a visualization exercise. Like what are you having people visualize? Like what
Yeah.
comes into mind?
Sure. Yeah. So, an exercise I love to do that I've been doing for some years myself is meeting your future self or meeting your higher self. And so, I'll have them pick a place like in the middle of a beautiful, majestic forest, and
Yes.
they're sitting in this forest, and their higher self comes and meets them,
Hmm.
and you observe, you think, okay, what are they wearing, how do they look, if this is you 5 years from now, what is your day like, what are you wearing, is your skin glowing, do you look healthy, what kind of energy are you giving off, and just kind of observing. So they're having this moment where they get to observe themselves in this meditation and spend time with themselves and have a moment of quiet to be able to receive some messages. And it's really fascinating because sometimes people are like, oh, I don't know how to talk to my higher self, like that's not a thing. But then they're in this meditation and they listen, and maybe they just hear one word. Maybe it's just like, oh, I thought I heard the word rest. And then they're like, oh, okay, yeah, like I'm a projector and I need to rest more, and why am I pushing so hard when it's not actually productive in the end, and like they'll start to realize like, oh, that one word I heard in that meditation, in that visualization, is actually really important for me at this time. So it's a really beautiful one because it allows you to think beyond where you are. It allows you to kind of look ahead to who you want to step into, right? So it's not about changing yourself or anything, but it's kind of about really stepping into that up leveled version of you, that version of you that really takes care of themselves, that loves their life, that is just like drooling over this incredible life that they have, right? Like you want to be able to step into that high energy, or not necessarily high energy, but like it's an elevated frequency, right? It's a frequency where you feel fulfilled, you feel like you're giving back to the world, that you're taking care of the planet because you're taking care of yourself. It's like it's a very sort of reciprocal process there. But that's one I
Okay.
love, to be able to meet your higher self. Yeah.
Right, right. And I'm guessing people who first start off, they may not, may or may not have I guess, a positive visualization. Maybe like they have a negative visualization of themselves. So if they have that, then what would you tell them? Like, just to keep doing it, or I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it definitely, like for me in the beginning, I remember I had a hard time visualizing that
sure.
myself. But the more you go back into that space, the more it gets more vivid, if you
Okay.
will. And if negative things do come up,
Hmm.
I ask, the participant to sit with that a little longer. So maybe, it's only a 30-minute session in the morning, so maybe they don't have so much time to sit with it then, but I would say, go back and sit with that and just see what your higher self is trying to show you, because sometimes that visual will morph and shift, and you'll understand what it is that they're trying to explain to you. Or it may be some sort of shadow aspect, if you will, something that wants to be seen that maybe was repressed. And it would be a good thing to, you know, sit with, meditate with, understand why you're still feeling that way. And, if it's something more serious, obviously, it may be something that you'd want to speak with a therapist with or get more professional help with. But I always say, if it feels like something you are comfortable sitting with and observing in a more, deep way, go for it, because there's probably something there for you.
Okay, no, that makes sense. And um, it's kind of interesting because I also read your background that you're 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 a daughter of a chiropractor.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So obviously you have some. I don't know how much experience you have. You probably have some experience of like acupuncture and all that stuff. Maybe, right?
Well, I mean, chiropractic and acupuncture, I feel like, are kind of part of
Kind of
a
part of
same
it.
world. But I mean, I've gotten a lot of acupuncture over the years, and I love acupuncture. But yeah, I mean, I grew up with weekly chiropractic treatments, and it was really fun to be a dancer with a chiropractor as a father, because
Right.
I'd be like, "Oh, Dad, I have this little ache or pain here.
Mhm.
Can you help with this?" And he'd be like, "Oh yeah," and I'd be I'd be good
Yeah.
at So it was, yeah. He's so smart. I mean, it's unbelievable what chiropractors can do. I mean, they are true healers. They really are.
And so what did you learn from your dad and how you can apply that into what you're doing now?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that I took away from growing up with parents, because my mom was a nurse,
Oh,
and they both were very, kind of, any problem that came up with the body, there was always a natural approach first. It's like, okay, try this. And if that doesn't work, then of course, like, go to Western medicine. That's totally fine. There's a time and place for everything, right? But I think that having my dad be part of the sort of alternative medicine world, chiropractic wasn't as accepted in Western medicine. It's a little better now.
yeah.
But being able to think about the way that I was aligned with the bones, right? So you want to feel aligned with your skeletal system, your muscular system, because it has an effect on your life. If you're in pain, if your neck is like
Yeah.
killing you, how are you getting anything done with a clear mind? How are you getting anything done without having that distraction, right? So I've really realized over the years how having my dad align me physically was also affecting me energetically, right? The vibration I was giving off, the thoughts I was having, the ability to be pain free as a dancer, and the work that I do now with Reiki, with energy healing. I've actually had this come up more and more, which has been really interesting, where clients will say that it feels almost like energetic chiropractic,
Mm,
where I was working on a woman's hip, and she was like, it felt like you were in there. It felt like you were like in there and massaging and moving things around. And when I got up, it felt better. And it was as if I got a chiropractic treatment. And I was like, whoa, that's interesting, because my dad was a chiropractor. So I feel like I inherited some sort of healing ability from my father, or at least had digested something that has allowed me to be a better healer today. So yeah, it's all, there's so much there, but it's been such a beautiful thing for me to have had that influence from a young child, for sure.
okay. Oh, no, yeah, that's great. And because I was about to say was when you work with these clients, like, are you actually physically examining them and be like, oh, hey, maybe something's not aligned, or is it all in their mind?
Well, a lot of people will come. I mean, because this has been all over Zoom
Oh,
mostly
right, right.
since the pandemic. I mean, pre-pandemic, I would love to be physically in the room with a person, right?
Okay.
But a lot of people will come to me already saying like, I've been having this hip pain for some time. Is there anything you can do? Or I have this knee pain. Can you take a look? And um, sometimes I will, because I did my Pilates training as well. So
Oh,
we did a lot of, kind of anatomy rehab there. So sometimes I'll have them, stand and turn to the side, and I'll do a little bit of a postural analysis for them as well. But with the Reiki, it's a lot of trust, and it's a lot of just kind of letting your energy do what needs to happen, and letting that energy channel through you. And I've been more and more, with each client I work with, I feel it kind of building within me, this ability to feel a little bit more deeply where the misalignment is present, or where there's a block of energy or a stagnation of energy that I need to kind of energetically massage through. So it's been really fascinating for me, because I never thought I'd be doing any of this kind of stuff.
mm,
I mean, I was very type A. I was
yeah.
very much like, it has to be by the books. If there's no manual for me to read, like, I can't do it, So
Mm.
the fact that I've been doing any energy work at all has been, just such a unique experience for me, and something that has kind of unfolded naturally. So, yeah, it's all been a lot of fun.
Oh, that sounds great. And because, like what you said, you didn't think that you'll be doing this kind of energy work. So in the, I guess as a kid growing up, we would just think about being a dancer. Is that all or
Yeah, that was the goal. That was the
okay.
goal. I moved to New York when I was 19, and started auditioning. And I went to one audition, and then kind of stopped auditioning after that, because everything from there was word of mouth, which was very interesting, because I didn't know about human design in my 20s.
Mm,
And I didn't realize that I was actually in alignment with my human design in that way, because as a projector, the best way for us to kind of make decisions and take the next best action is to wait to be recognized and invited. And
mm,
so for me, going to lots of auditions wouldn't get me the jobs. It was about being recognized somewhere by a choreographer in class, or by, someone I knew, or someone who recommended me. So having that recognition and then being invited, that was the way I got my dance jobs. So it's really fun, once you learn about your human design, to kind of look back on your life and realize like, oh, I was in alignment there. Oh, that's why that didn't work out, because that was totally against my energetic nature. So it's all really fascinating. But yep, the idea was to, just go to New York, be a dancer. And I did that, but at the same time, I had this insatiable curiosity for all things spiritual and wellness. And so I did my Reiki certification. I did a certification in holistic health coaching through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. I did a meditation certification. I went to India for a month and
oh
studied
wow.
yoga there. Just did training after training after training, and just couldn't get enough of it. So, my latest training has been in intuitive energy healing, where I got to learn a little bit more about how to use my energy, and how to kind of tap in a little bit more to the subtleties of energy, which was challenging, but really, really incredible. That was through the Den here in Los
Mhm.
Angeles. And yeah, it's been something that has always been on my mind. So as much as I wanted to solely focus on dance, it
Yeah,
just ended up not being that way. And
right.
now I have this beautiful balance, where I spend half my time working one-on-one with clients and running my women's program Rise, and then the other half of my time working with choreographer and improviser Kei Nishikawa, and creating these beautiful improv based pieces for galleries mostly, and site specific performances. So it's been really great to just feel that kind of fluidity of my creativity, instead of feeling like, oh, I have to do this one
Yeah,
thing and it has to look a certain way. I've really allowed myself to kind of surrender and see where
yeah,
life takes me. Yeah.
yeah. You able to kind of blend things together and kind of work around that way, which is great. And actually, I do want to get into the Rise program a little bit.
Yeah.
So I did read on your website. It's a 40-day. I mean, well, now it's a virtual. event.
Yes.
Um, so I guess the first question is how are you preparing for it right now?
Yeah, so for these, it's 6 weeks essentially,
Okay.
and we split the weeks up, and so we go through different parts of our human design charts. Every Monday, there's a workshop,
Mm.
and we'll look at a certain aspect of the chart, so that way by the end of the program, it's as if everyone got a human design chart reading,
Mm.
essentially. They won't have the nitty gritty details, but they'll have all of the foundational information that I would give in a one on one session as a foundations reading. So everybody gets that. And with how I prepare for it, again, I work very intuitively for the movement sessions.
Mhm.
So those I will plan around certain themes that I would like to flesh out over the course of the week or relate back to the human design. But for the most part, all of the morning classes are very intuitively put together. And then for the workshops, we just kind of break down the biggest parts of the human design chart. So everybody will learn about which energy type they are, they'll learn about how they can best utilize their intuition for decision making. We'll even go through digestion. So there'll be a module on holistic health because I also do holistic health coaching with clients and kind of bring in some of that with seasonal eating and seasonal
Mm.
rituals as well. So for the most part, all of it is pretty prepared because I've taught this cycle of rise many times now.
Oh, okay.
So everything's pretty much good to go. And what I do is with each new group that I'm working with, or even for people who come back month after month because they just want that accountability to keep doing these morning rituals, I try to bring in new perspectives, new stories, new just paradigms so that they're able to get something new from it every single time. And we'll use different people in the group for examples, so they'll get a little bit more of an in depth kind of reading there, and everybody can learn from one another. And I think the most important thing is that with human design, it's not just about knowing what your type is and everything about you, it's about knowing what else is out there. So the beauty of Rise is that these women get to see, that's how that person functions. Oh, this is how this person makes decisions. And they're able to see that, oh, I have other people in my lives who might have these energy types too. And then they can have more compassion, they can have more patience when it comes to the way they need to do things versus the way that they process information and make decisions. So it's really beautiful to see how learning about this information really creates this ripple effect for all of the participants and everyone in their lives. So it's been really rewarding in that way.
Yeah, I mean, essentially is a way to develop like really deeper connection with someone else, knowing that their human design either similar or they're putting off a very similar energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's essentially almost same way as looking at it's like, oh, we all have like the right vibes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how I in my head I'm picturing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And are you managing all these groups or and the whole session yourself, or you have like a partner? What's going on there?
Yeah, I've been a one woman team up
Wow.
until now. For this next cycle of Rise, I have two guest teachers that are going to come on with me, but they will be teaching. I have one who's teaching Pilates on Tuesdays to the girls, and another teacher who's teaching gyrotonic on Thursdays. And the reason for this is that I wanted to have Rise be sort of this one stop shop where
Mhm.
people can also get some of their movement in, besides the 30-minute movement practice that we do in the morning, which is quite gentle. The Pilates allows us to connect to our sacral center and our creative energy, our confidence, that sort of strength within us. And then the gyrotonic is very fluid, very feminine, and that really will help us to embody that more feminine aspect of us. I feel like a lot of us are kind of battling right now this desire to be more feminine, but we're kind of in a more masculine world. And so I'm trying to bring in more and more of that feminine energy so that these
Right.
women really feel into that fluidity, that harmony, that creativity, and less of the rigidity around
Yeah.
structure and schedule
Mhm.
and keeping up and all of that. so
Yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so I do have two new Rise
Cool.
team members joining for this next cycle. So I'm very excited about that.
Okay, cool, cool. And have you ever had a situation where maybe one of the women will just be like, "Oh, you know what? This isn't working for me. I don't want to keep doing it."
Yeah, yeah. I had someone the very first cycle I
Oh,
ran.
okay.
I had someone say, "Oh, I don't know, like mantra," and like it's just like it's a little, it's just not my thing. It's
Okay.
just something that we had done in that first week. She was just, it didn't resonate, and it's okay. It happens. It's totally
Mhm.
fine. Um, the thing about projectors, especially, is that we are not for everyone. Like we are here to be the guides and
Mm,
we manipulate energy. So we guide energy. We help people to kind of see things. And so for me, the way that I have uniquely put together Rise with human design and embodied movement, it's my unique package. And so this lens through which I'm seeing the world and the way that I'm presenting this information is going to resonate with the people who I'm meant to work with. So
mm,
I'm not someone who's really meant to be, kind of out there in this big
yeah.
way where everybody is going to follow me.
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
I would rather make a difference in 30 people's lives and
Yeah.
have a profound influence on their lives
Yeah.
than have a smaller influence on, a million people. So if someone comes and it's not really their thing, that's totally fine. And I just know that, I'm not meant to be their guide or their
Yeah.
teacher and that there's, not everyone is going to resonate with the things that light you up. So
Of course. Of
like
course.
anything in life. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And but of course you're gonna welcome them with open arms if they ever change their minds. You're not gonna be like, no, So which is great what you're doing. And I guess for me, the follow-up question I would have was you talked about, having a mantra. Um, is there a specific mantra that you have like in each session or you change it up every session? What's the process of that?
Yeah. Well, sometimes I will introduce mantra for some of these visualizations, for some of the meditations that I use at the end of the morning ritual, and sometimes I'll just give a very open ended mantra like "I
Oh,
am,"
okay.
and people can kind of add on. Maybe it's "I am strong," "I
Yeah.
am graceful," "I am patient."
Brave, whatever.
Whatever they need for that day, they can kind of bring that in. So sometimes I use mantra, sometimes I don't. Some of the meditations in Kundalini use mantra. And, these can be, I mean, there's so many mantras in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
So many Sanskrit mantras. I feel like I originally got a lot of my mantras from Deepak Chopra because
Oh yeah.
he has those amazing 21-day meditation challenges, and every day he'll give you a mantra. But I don't do that with the girls. I don't
Oh,
I don't
okay.
do I don't do a mantra every single day.
Hmm.
But I do love if we're working on a particular chakra,
Hmm.
sometimes it's nice to give a mantra with that because you can kind of connect more deeply with that energy center. So it really depends on what we're doing, and it's ever changing. It really
Sure.
is. Like this program has just been evolving and shifting so much over time,
Hmm.
and I'm just allowing whatever kind of comes through me
Yeah.
to guide me there.
Right.
Yeah,
Go with the flow of things.
yeah.
Right. Right.
Well, there's a mantra right there. Go with the flow.
Go with the flow. I mean, so what is your personal favorite mantra then?
I mean, I love just starting my day with I am. Like if I do a silent meditation with myself,
Mm-hmm.
before I get out of bed, I just start with I am and I'll see what my body wants from that day or
Mm,
what my mind wants from that day. So if I say I am and then patience comes right in, then okay, like I'm gonna need some patience today and I'm gonna work
mm,
with this mantra when I need to feel more patience. So I like I am because it just kind of gives you that open-ended space.
possible. Right. Right. And of course, every morning for you is probably different. Is my
Hmm.
guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so it sounds like that you do have a pretty specific morning routine, like
Hmm.
almost on
Hmm.
a daily basis, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I usually wake up and do some sort of silent meditation, just to kind of quiet
Yeah.
and prepare myself for the day. And while the Rise program is in session right now,
Mhm.
we're in an interim period.
Mm,
The next cycle will be April 5th, but I would go and teach my 30-minute ritual that I do
mm,
to the girls. So I'm, right now during these off weeks, it's funny because I'm doing it, but just not with them.
mhm,
But it's also a way for me to have that time and space to play a little bit more
yeah.
and see if there's anything new that comes in. And
Mhm,
then that way I have this time to play and to let it kind of settle, and then it's ready for the next cycle and I have something new to offer. There's participants that come back month after month, and so I always want to keep it fresh. I always want them to feel like they're getting new information from it, and that's this time in between allows me to kind of, stir up some new content and
mhm,
allow myself to see where it goes. So I do again work very intuitively, even with my morning ritual, just seeing what my body wants to
mhm,
do, seeing what feels good, seeing what feels stiff or needs some more movement. My hips tend to be very stiff from the
mhm.
dancing I do. And
Yeah.
so I tend to do a lot of stretches for that, when I'm working more personally with myself. But yeah, it's always different. It's always
Mhm.
different. But again, I combine, vinyasa, hatha,
Yeah.
yin, restorative, kundalini, my holistic health tools, meditation, my dancing, Reiki. Like it's an amalgamation of all the things I've
Um,
studied and love,
mhm.
and I just allow myself to see what wants to flow through.
Cool, cool, cool. And can you remind me what kind of dancing is this? Is this I think it was ballet that I read something like that, right?
Yeah, so I started with classical ballet training,
Okay.
and then I went more into modern dance after moving to New York. And now I'm working more exclusively with improvisation. So, really, just allowing again that creative energy to flow through me
Mhm,
to see where my body wants to move, how it wants to flow.
mhm,
And I'm working with a master improviser and choreographer, Kei Nishikawa.
mhm,
She's from Japan originally, has been in New York for a few decades
mhm,
now. And I met her while in New York, and we would rehearse in Brooklyn and perform at various galleries. We'd tour in Japan and just really have a blast with allowing the creativity to flow and not worry so much about choreography, which
mhm.
was really refreshing for me because I had been doing choreographed works for many years, and to be able to have more freedom as an artist was really really important to me.
Right. Okay. No, yeah, that absolutely. I think that's very important. I agree with you. And actually the one thing I do also want to get into is I think I had it written down here too. I mean, you kind of mentioned this too, is that um just trying to know more about like the challenges of um you know starting this business that you have going on right now, and how are you overcoming these challenges.
Yeah, yeah. So I would say the biggest challenge for me since as early as I could remember was chronic anxiety.
Mm,
There was a lot of alcoholism in my family, and even just I mean, I remember being in kindergarten and being already named like the worry wart of my elementary school, and already having that very worried,
yeah.
concerned, anxious
Mhm,
nature. So by nature, this has been something that I've been having to manage since the very beginning.
mm,
And I always was very spiritually seeking, even as a young teen. I remember being like 12 or 13, and every book I would pick out at the library was a self help book.
mm,
And so I was just always very spiritually inclined. And um, I would say starting my day with yoga and meditation has just been the game changer for me. Allowing myself to actually, well, and this comes from human design. Since learning about my human design, I've actually been exercising less and allowing myself to do much less in a day.
mm.
The New Yorker in me just wanted to do everything.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
my life in New York
yeah.
was very, very generator in nature.
Yeah.
Generators in human design are they have all this energy, they're here
Yeah.
to create, they have that drive, they're able to be very steadfast and master something. And for me, it was very difficult to keep up with that energy. So since moving to Los Angeles from New York, I, for the first time in my life, had that space to slow down. And it was at the exact same time that I found human design, which I think was, pretty kismet. So um, being able to tell myself, okay, you're a projector. You don't have to do 8 hours of work today. You can do
Yeah.
3 hours of good work, solid
Mhm.
work, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of my chronic anxiety, I really have found that the perfect remedy for me was having an embodied movement practice, like some dancing, some yoga, some meditation in the morning, and checking in with my human design daily for a while, and now it's more like weekly, bi-weekly. But um, I really need to reconnect with that information to remember who I am in many ways, and
Right.
it gives me so much relief and so much just acceptance of myself that, yeah, okay, like I do things differently and that's totally fine. So that really was the foundation of my rise program, because the combination of the movement, of the breath, of getting connected to yourself in the morning and connecting to the information from your chart just sets your day up for success, because you can connect back to that information more quickly because you just read it or you just
Yeah.
practiced, right? So when you go to make decisions throughout your day, you're able to have this foundation to work with and to play with. So yeah, my chronic anxiety has been, I mean, it's just unbelievable. I feel like a completely different person from even 2 years ago. And if I were to go back to my old life in New York, I mean, I just I just couldn't
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
So, I'm very proud of everything I accomplished in my
Yeah.
20s. I think that I really did everything that I wanted to do, which is really satisfying. And
Mhm.
now I'm able to really luxuriate in life and really fill each day with things that make me feel good in some way. So there's nothing on my schedule. I don't allow anything on my schedule except for things like, a dentist appointment, like things you got to do.
Yeah.
But but for the most part, my day is only full of things that really, really just, make my heart
Yeah.
sing, which takes time. It takes so much time.
Yeah.
It's been a 2 year process of me being able to get to this point. But I don't want to do things that stress me out. I don't want to do things that give me anxiety. Why muscle through life, right? Like if you can do work that feels fulfilling
Mhm.
in a way that doesn't feel like you're going to work, why not? So my anxiety is just so much better than it used to be, and I'm so grateful for the practices that I've picked up along the way, and most of all human design, because that really was the game changer for me. Once
Beautiful.
I turned 30. Yeah.
That's beautiful. No, no, I know it is very true too. I mean, not just in New York, but I guess nowadays, everyone's about the hustle life, right? So that could get very overwhelming for
Yes.
actually a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um, and even especially now too, anxiety is like kind of an all-time high, right? Because with the pandemic and all that. So that's a
Oh
whole
yeah.
different issue there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Um, actually, it's funny because well, it's not funny, but I kind of have like sort of like a special request, I guess. But let's say if I were to come to you and be like, "Hey, can you give me a chart reading right now?" Will you
Mhm.
be able to do it like not like instantaneously, but I meant like have the knowledge to like have an idea of what my chart will be?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be able to tell you about your energy type and
Okay.
some of the bigger points on your chart, but what I do before a reading is I like to really sit down and give some
Ah.
time to the person's chart. And
Mhm.
I see, again, I work very intuitively, but I see what kind of jumps out at me, because,
Okay.
one person's chart, I can talk to them for 8 hours about their chart. So I have to be a little bit more selective about what I am kind of feeling from
Mhm.
them and what they need,
Mhm.
and really look at what I think is most important for them to know. Now, if it's their very first time getting a reading, I'm definitely going to go into detail about their energy type, because
Okay.
that's the foundation. But if they're coming to me and they say like, hey, I'd love a human design chart reading, but I'd really love it to be more career focused. I'm feeling really lost about my purpose
Mhm.
and my mission in life. I would make sure that I would talk to them about their incarnation cross. Their incarnation cross has to do with their mission and their purpose. So it's a big life theme for them. Mine, for example, is rulership, which I think is really, the first time I looked at that, I was like, rulership, what the heck?
Wow.
But basically, what it means is that I'm the ruler of my own life. I'm curating my own life,
Mhm.
and I'm here to guide in many ways. And so I've seen this really pan out, especially over the past couple of years with creating a business that I absolutely love,
Mhm.
creating a schedule that I absolutely love, guiding other women to do the same for themselves and to connect with their truth and to awaken that magic within them.
Mhm.
And I'm really seeing, oh, wow, like, yeah, I am the ruler of my world. And it feels so good when I'm in that mental space of, I'm the authority here. No one can make me or force me to do anything I don't want to do. And it's been really, really liberating. So, as an example, that would be something I would make sure that I talk about with them if they came to me looking for something specific like that. But
Mm.
every instance is different. Every client is different. And yeah, I definitely work intuitively with what I think will be best for them for that reading.
How many different types of, because you talk about incarnation cross, how many different types are there? What are you
Uh,
talking about?
there's over 100. I don't
Oh,
remember
wow.
the exact number, but there's a lot. There's a lot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And then do you actually have like a lot of these, I guess, information memorized, or I mean,
When it comes to the larger, more foundational aspects of the chart, yeah, I can talk pretty freely.
okay.
When it comes to the incarnation crosses, for example, that I would have to look up. Like I have this, this is like kind of my Bible here,
Oh,
this human
nice.
design book by the creator,
Mm.
Ra'uruhu, and also this is in collaboration with Linda Bennell.
Mm.
And everything you need to know is in this book. So I did my certification through Jenna Zoe, which allowed
Mhm.
me to just really have that foundational
Mm.
understanding of everything and be able to give a good human
Mhm.
design reading. But if I want to know all the last little
Mhm.
details of every single thing, that book is where I look to get that information. So if someone wants something specific, I can really curate a reading that will give them the most pertinent information for what they're seeking. So I really try to do a good job with that because
Right.
you know that when you're really seeking answers, when you're really struggling with something, you just want people to kind of give you the tools,
Mhm.
and so human design is great for that because it's a way for me to say, here's something to work with,
Mhm.
here's something to play with, see how you feel after, let me know. And often I don't like to say that I do human design readings. I mean, I do that, but I also offer human design sessions because people like to work with a challenge or work with a situation that is current to their life, right? So
Yeah.
if they come to me and they're like, oh, I'm having trouble with career, I'm having trouble with
Yeah.
relationships, like we can look at their human design chart
Mhm.
and tailor that session
Mhm.
to the challenge that they're looking to overcome. And my goal, even with my holistic health coaching clients, where I do use human design even for my holistic health coaching clients,
Mhm.
I tell them, like, I want you to be your own coach and healer. I want you to be your own guru. All of the wisdom is within you. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not here to fix anything, right? We all have that innate ability within us to be able to guide ourselves and connect with our higher selves and have that divine wisdom
Yes.
lead us forward. So with everything in human design, I remind each client in a reading or a session, this is for you to play with. This is for you to feel whether or not this resonates or not. And if you feel like this is something that's helping you right now, it's like a tuning fork. It's helping you to kind of
Mm.
recalibrate and realign.
Yeah.
But if it's not working for you after a while, let's look
Mm.
at another aspect. Let's look at something else. So all of these tools, all of these things that are kind of outside of ourselves, they're all just ways for us to kind of bounce back
Yeah.
and forth and figure out, okay, where can I get back to
Right.
center? Where can I get back to that alignment? And having that information from
Mhm.
your human design chart allows you to have those tools
Mhm.
to recalibrate when you feel like your energy is out of whack.
Okay. So there's really no such thing as like a wrong chart or anything. It's more like,
Absolutely not.
okay.
Absolutely not. Yeah, everybody's chart is unique to them, and they, incarnate here knowing that they're going into a certain type of energetic body. And so there's certain challenges that are set up ahead of
Mhm.
time, so to speak, where you might have that obstacle that you have
Mhm.
to get past, but by getting past that obstacle, you're, coming out with that wisdom. You're
Yeah.
gaining that experience as a soul. So there's no chart that is better or worse. Every chart is so beautiful and unique, and it's just a way for you to experience life through your unique lens, through your unique paradigm. Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. So final question to wrap it all up.
Yeah.
Um, Going forward, I guess in this year 2021 or even 3 4 years later, what kind of impact do you want to make in terms of with Rise and everything you're doing?
Yeah. Well, I kind of just touched upon that with really allowing people to have tools so that they can become their own coach and healer. As a coach, I do not want a client for years and years and years, right? Like
Mhm.
I want them to be able to have everything that they need so that they can learn to recalibrate and realign themselves. So through the Rise program, I really try and do this for this group every week, going through different aspects of the chart, learning different embodiment movements, rituals, meditations, visualizations, allowing everyone to experience lots of different things so that they kind of know what works for them, know what doesn't. But at the end of the day, yeah, I just really want people to be able to walk away feeling empowered and feeling like they are in charge of their lives. That every day they can make their life just a little bit better, meaning just a little bit more aligned to their truth, to their authenticity. And I really feel like the one on one holistic health and human design coaching programs that I do, I have a 30-day program and a 3-month program. I feel like that's where I tend to make the most impact
Mhm.
because I can really hold this safe container for someone to explore these various concepts and apply them to real life challenges and circumstances. So that's where it gets powerful. That's where you can really
Right.
see the light bulb go
Yeah.
on and see those aha moments and see
Great.
those moments of relief of
Mhm.
okay, like I am allowed to be this way. This is
Mhm.
actually how I knew I wanted to function, but I didn't know I was allowed to function this way because society told me X, Y, and
Yeah.
Z. And so
Yeah.
I really coach with that intention of allowing that safe container to um, hold the client in their process of transformation and recalibrating, realigning bit by bit and connecting with that divine wisdom within.
Cool. Very cool. And the programs, I forgot to ask this, was the programs is not only for, I think one of them is only for females, but then I don't know.
Yeah, the Rise program is my women's empowerment container, but the one-on-one holistic health coaching, where we also use human design, I have a 30-day program and a 3-month program, depending on how intensely one wants to work with their human design. But also for holistic health coaching, it's very kind of global in this way. So if
Mm, okay.
someone's just wanting to deal with chronic
Mhm.
anxiety, I might teach them a couple Kundalini breathing exercises. I might
Okay.
work with them on weaning off of coffee for anxiety. You know what I mean? Like there's all different kinds of things that
Okay.
we can do depending on the person's challenge. And so
Mhm.
I definitely bring in human design where I see it to be beneficial. But the 1 month and 3 month programs are really, it's up to the client and what their
Okay.
goals are.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So all races, all ages, anyone,
Everybody. Yeah. Yeah.
everybody. Great. Okay, great. Um, we are almost out of time. But I guess because I was about to say was like I don't even know when you're gonna be publishing a book on this because I feel like eventually you're gonna be writing a book about this.
I'd love to.
I'll be waiting for that. I'll be waiting for that. I do want
Cool.
to, I'm always trying to find new books to read, but
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, it was very lovely conversation with you, Victoria. Thank you very much. And for those who are listening, thank you. Victoria gave a lot of great information and everything you need to know about what she's doing. I will post all that in the description. And please do check out her programs. I'm thinking about browsing through it myself, maybe potentially having a one-on-one session with her at some point. Well, don't know yet when, but I'll give it a try too because I really do think it's very interesting.
It's
Um,
a human design session is just it's so fun. I forget
yeah,
that it's my job. I'm like I'm having such a
yeah,
blast that it's just yeah. And so if anyone's interested in seeing more of my work, they can find me on Instagram at
yep,
rise.to.ritual and www.risetoritual.com.
yep. And also, her Rise program is the next cycle is April 5th, so people can still sign up, right?
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've got plenty of time. It's only March 8th.
No March. Okay, great. Yeah, so be sure to check that out too. I believe that's a pretty good program over there. And
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, this is great. And I will, I'll probably do a little bit of reading myself with the human design because he did show me the book, so maybe I'll check out the book at some point too.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, just to get a good feel for it. But thank you again very much.
You're
And
welcome. Thank you for
yeah,
having me.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you everyone. Have a nice day.